Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. This has been a long time coming, but if you were almost a TikTok refugee, I would like to officially welcome you here to this safe space. If there was one good thing that came from this whole TikTok chaos, it's that it actually forced me to sit down and make some YouTube videos. I did a poll on my Instagram asking what long form content you guys wanted to hear about. And the overwhelming response was about child support. So I'm gonna do Child Support 101 in the state of Florida. Remember that everything I talk about is only Florida law specific. I don't practice law in any other state. Even though I'm licensed in other states, I only practice in Florida. So we're gonna start with, what is child support? What is child support is statutory in Florida. Each parent has an obligation to support their children, their dependent minor children. And child support is calculated based upon the net incomes of both parents combined as if they were still living in the same household together with their children. So how is child support calculated? As lawyers who practice exclusively family law, all family law lawyers have a program that does this for us, and it's a paid program. There are some calculators online that you can use and get a guesstimate of what your child support calculation might be, but the lawyers use actual programs. So when we are talking about a child support calculation, there are two major factors. The first factor is income. It's the net income of both parents. And then the second factor is overnight or time sharing. And in Florida, the only thing that counts towards a child support calculation is actual overnights. Where do the children lay their heads at night? Which is a little kooky because we all know that children are the least expensive when they're sleeping because they're not like, hey mom, I need a snack, or like, hi, can we go to Target? So they're asleep, but that is how we calculate child support, income and overnights. I am going to do an entire video on income because there is an entire Florida statute on what counts as income for a child support calculation. So make sure you're subscribed to my channel and come back next week so that you can get more information on what is income for purposes of a child support calculation. When we are calculating child support, there are deductions. There are things that come off of income and almost like credits that are assigned to one parent or the other. For example, you get to deduct from your income if you have a mandatory union contribution or mandatory retirement. Health insurance is also part of the child support calculation. Whoever pays for the child's health insurance gets a credit on their child support calculation. Things like child care are also considered as part of the child support calculation, but they don't have to be. That's one of those intricacies. Maybe the child care is included in the guidelines. Whoever pays it, it goes on their side of the column of the guidelines, or maybe it's paid outside of the guidelines. That kind of depends on how the parents are. Do they work well together? Do they not? Are they able to each pay their own share of things, or does it need to be considered in the guidelines? There are other things that can also be deductions for child support calculation, like an HSA contribution, but those are the big things. Child support can be modified. It's always modifiable. It can be modified when there has been a substantial change in circumstances, income-wise, time-sharing-wise, or if the child has special needs or those special needs change, then child support can be modified. It has to be modified by court order, though. You cannot waive child support. There are ways to kind of mess with the guidelines a little bit. The parties are working together so well, but the law says child support cannot be waived because remember, the purpose of child support is that each parent in the state of Florida has an obligation to support their dependent children. So the child support is really for the child. It's not for the parent receiving it. Child support is also one of those things that cannot be included in a prenup. If you include it in a prenup, and let's say you put in your prenup that dad pays mom $1,000 a month for child support, that portion of the prenup can be completely voided by a judge. A judge can award more child support or less child support. So it's not really worth it to put it in your prenup because it's just wasted words. If you do not pay your child support, then you could be subject to contempt proceedings. In Florida, contempt is for failure to pay support. And if you are found in contempt, which I will definitely do a video on contempt, there are so many things, intricacies that go into contempt. But a general overview for contempt is you have to prove that there was an order to pay, that the person failed to pay, and that the person had the ability to pay. That third prong is where people always hit a problem. They can't prove the ability to pay component. But let's assume that all three prongs of contempt are proven. Contempt is really bad. It's a no-no. You can be jailed for contempt for your failure to pay. You can be ordered to purge or to pay a sum of money to kind of get out of jail. It's like a get out of jail free card, but it's not free, it's for the purge. Your driver's license can be suspended. If you are in arrearages so much in child support, your passport can be suspended. It's not a good thing to be held in contempt. If you have a professional license, the board is notified of it. So like if you're a lawyer found in contempt, the Florida bar is actually notified of your contempt. It's a mess. You don't want to be found in contempt. Some common misconceptions in Florida about child support. If I don't see my child, I don't have to pay. No, that is false. Child support and time sharing are similar, they're related, but if you are denied your time sharing by your co-parent, it doesn't mean that you suddenly have to not pay child support. There's tons of case law like that out there. Child support is just extra spending money for the recipient spouse. The reality is child support is not that much money. And now as somebody who's actually raising a child, I cannot imagine living on what a child support obligation would be to me. It's really low. It's even lower if the time sharing schedule is equal or close to equal, and if the parties' incomes are similar. It's not anything that you can live on. I can pay whatever I want to pay, or I can pay what I think my child actually needs. That is a misconception. It's false. You have to pay what the court-ordered child support obligation is. Having a good understanding of child support laws can really help you, your co-parent, and your child. And remember, child support is for the benefit of the child. So if you have any other questions, make sure you put them in the comments, or if you have specific factual questions about your case, you can schedule a consultation with me. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video on child support. I hope it was educational for you. I hope you learned a couple of things. If you did, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to my channel.